are all looking for adventure. We are all looking for adventure.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Marriage Adventure Podcast. We're your hosts, Daniel and Bonnie Hoover, and today we are talking about something that I think every couple we work with brings up at some point, and probably a lot of couples we don't work with. I know we've struggled with it, and it's emotional disconnection.
Yeah, and what's interesting is that most of the couples who feel disconnected aren't in a big crisis. I mean, they love each other and they're committed. They just don't feel close anymore.
Yeah, it's kind of that drift. It's that feeling of we're doing life together. We live in the same house. We have the same kids. You know, but we're just not really connected.
And that can be really unsettling, especially when you don't know. Okay, you look around, you're like, I'm not really sure how we got here. Nobody intends to do that.
Yeah, and sometimes when you don't know how you get there, you don't really know how to get out of there.
Right.
You know, so you just kind of feel stuck. So today we want to talk about something really hopeful if you're in that place. And so what if feeling close again, what if it didn't require a retreat or a counselor or some big dramatic reset? Those things are good and usually needed and probably good for any couple. But what if just a few small daily habits you could start right now, right where you are, could change everything?
Because what we've learned is, and this is in our own marriage and in coaching other couples, is that emotional connection isn't usually lost in one big moment.
No, that's not how you got there. You got there, it was lost in bad patterns and bad habits that took root, and then over time that happened. You lost that connection.
Yeah, but the good news is it's also restored in forming good, healthy patterns.
That's true. So in this episode, we're going to talk about why this disconnection happens, and then why small daily habits matter really more than big gestures. And then we'll walk you through 3 really simple, doable habits that can help you stay emotionally connected, even when life is crazy and even when life is busy.
Okay, so let's start talking about, you know, everybody's sitting here thinking, okay, so yeah, we're here, not sure how we got here. Why do couples feel disconnected?
Well, usually it's not about a big fight or a big failure. And I say usually, you know, there's the times that it is. Something big happened and we didn't forgive or we didn't handle it, we didn't move through it. But that's not really what we're talking about today. We're talking about that disconnection, that emotional disconnection that just kind of happens over time, right? A lot of times we'll call it drift or whatever, you know.
Well, and even the big things that happen, that, you know, the big fight or the big failure or whatever, that sometimes we can even quickly forgive those if we're in a good place to start with. You know, the fights that we have when we have a fight and we're like, okay, we move on a lot quicker when we're already connected. Yeah,
and it kind of goes back to an episode a few weeks ago. We talked about positive and negative sentiment, right? It's that override. It's that default that if we're in a really healthy place and we're emotionally connected, when a big argument happens, we can move through it pretty quickly. But when we're emotionally disconnected and we're at we get to a negative default, then really anything, right, good or bad or indifferent, tends to get on our nerves and become a thing. But how did you get there? How do you get where you're just emotionally disconnected? A lot of times, it's just about daily routines drifting, and what's that? So how do you get out of it? You know, what's the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So most couples, you feel that disconnection, and I'll say this: most of the time, that feeling comes from the female, from the wife. Not all the time. But most of the time, the wife will pick up on that disconnection first. Y'all have antennas that are antennae. Is that the right way to say it? That's different than ours, and so you might pick up on it. But a lot of times, couples don't do really anything about it. They just kind of, you know, stay in that place.
Well, and that connection, when the connection breaks, you're like, what happened? But you know, their connection breaks, and then you know, we have these patterns that disconnect us, but then we can also heal in patterns. So, our church recently did this 21-day fast. Our pastor challenged the church members to fast, and some people did, some people didn't. And one of the things I realized was that I was spending a lot of time just on social media. I had gotten in a pattern of every time I had a free spare second, I would pick up my phone and just scroll, whether it be Facebook or Instagram or just something, or Pinterest, even just anything to take every spare moment I have. And I'd gotten in this bad pattern of just doing that and relying on it. And over time, not only did it just suck my time of productivity, but that your phone can be a big disconnection in your relationship if you're allowing it, if you're doing that all the time instead of looking at the person in the room with you. But realizing that was a bad pattern, I had to do something to intentionally break the pattern. Yeah. And so that was one of the things I fasted from for the 21 days was looking at social media. So all you people out there, I had a birthday and I did get on just for a few 1 hour that night.
You said that morning, you said, I'm going to get on for a little bit tonight and just check my birthday messages. That's all I'm doing.
Yep, not scrolling, and so if I have missed somebody else's birthday or whatever, I'm really sorry if you're listening. And I've that was for me something that it was a pattern I had that I had to find a way to break. Yeah. And intentionally setting up a new pattern of, instead of going to my phone, I would either talk to you, or I would pray, or I would read. I actually have started reading a book. I mean, but I've started creating a new pattern. And then today was my first day having social media, and I didn't reach for my phone immediately. And so if you're intentional about it, you can create new positive patterns in your marriage, but it will take some intentionality.
Yeah, that's why CrossFit exists. That's why Weight Watchers exist. That's why all these things exist, to help you formulate new patterns and new habits, right?
That are healthy.
And good patterns. I remember when our kids were, kids struggle with brushing their teeth. So, during that season with our kids, I remember talking with Colby about, what new pattern in the morning can you formulate to remember to brush your teeth? And he had some allergy medicine he needed to take, and he wasn't taking it. And so, it was like, okay, when you come out of your room, don't go get your phone first, or don't go, eat breakfast first. You're going to go to the bathroom. Here's, and then when you're in the bathroom, go on and brush your teeth, go on and take your medicine. They're all sitting there right there together. Yeah. Get it done. Go, right? And so it's that pattern, that habit, put in a new way to walk, a new, a new place to go. So that's really what we have to do to restore this connection in our marriage. And so,
well, this doesn't sound sexy. I mean, we're sitting here talking about, okay, how can we methodically begin to connect with our spouse? It used to be so easy. It was so natural. Yep. Yes, but when that drifts into a place that's not natural, you have to find a way to return it to, you might have to create a pattern that's not sexy for a while, and then it gets back to being.
Well, and intentionality has gotten a bad rap.
Right.
Like, if they would start making some Hallmark movies about couples that are just intentionally choosing to love, because you think about it, is it really that sexy if I don't think about something and it just kind of, happens? TV will say, oh, your heart went to bull crud. You didn't have a choice in it. It's called hormones, and it's called chemicals in your body. But what's really romantic, what's really sexy, what's really love is when you intentionally say, I'm going to choose you, I'm going to choose us over this. And so I'm going to put this thing in my life so I can
choose you,
be closer to you, and heal this. And man, that's so much bigger of a love gesture, right? A gesture
absolutely.
Of love. I think it's incredibly sexy. So why do small daily habits matter more than big gestures, right?
Well, and that, I think you just put that into words by saying, it's because I feel loved when I know you're intentionally moving towards me. And the big gestures are great. Well, okay, let's take it back to when we first got married. I told you I am not a fan of Valentine's Day. Okay, it's coming up. Let's just say Valentine's Day's coming up, guys. Get ready for that. But
you can't use this illustration.
Oh,
it's going to be in next week's.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Video.
I had no idea. Okay, well, I'll move on. Well, then
So if you want to hear that illustration,
okay.
come back next week because we will talk about it on next week's podcast.
Okay. Well, you didn't prepare me for that. My bad. Okay.
Well, date nights and trips, I mean, they're really good, but they don't fix the daily distance.
Right.
You know, they can help, right? It can, you know, those big gestures. But when daily interactions are distant or our patterns in day to day, minute by minute are distant, pretty soon, a lot of times date nights and weekends away will disappear too.
Yeah.
Because you're emotionally disconnected.
And we've been there.
We have.
Yep.
It sure has.
Well, and because that emotional closeness is built in those mundane times when you're not really thinking about it.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen my coaching video this week on YouTube, go watch that. I did this little sticky note illustration. And so basically the premise was that these habits and patterns, one is good, but you know, if I write you a sticky note that says I love you, that's great. But that can be easily forgotten. And so so in the illustration, I took all these sticky notes and I said, one is good. I stuck it on my chest. And then I just started sticking them all over my body, face, and you know, everything. Yep. And so it didn't take long before sticking several of them on my face and body made me look silly. So that made a big difference, right?
Yeah.
You didn't think about one, but man, when they cover, you know, so when that becomes the point of it is when that becomes a habit, doing these small daily things, it makes a big difference over time.
Yes.
Right. And so, you know, brushing your teeth once, that's good. Brushing your teeth every day keeps cavities away.
That's right.
And so, and then who you become together is shaped day in and day out through that process. Are you looking for a transformational investment in your marriage relationship? Well, whether you're simply looking to press the reset button, or you're heading into a new season of marriage, or maybe you need to process and debrief a particularly tough season, well, a marriage intensive could be the answer. These are private 3-day, all-inclusive intensives here at our farm retreat in the foothills of the North Georgia mountains. They include lodging, all meals, and 21 hours of coaching to help you and your spouse reconnect and strengthen your relationship. Well, if you're interested and you'd like more information, visit themarriageadventure.com/intensives.
So today we're talking about how small daily habits that you can put in place in your relationship will help keep you emotionally connected. So let's talk about some of those. We've talked about how we get disconnected, but what are some of those habits that we can put in place that we can start making a habit of that will help keep us emotionally connected in our relationship?
So the first one is going to seem overly simple, and all of these are, but the first one's turn towards your spouse, not away, right? And so we've talked about before on the podcast, and if you haven't heard of it, we talk about this thing called bids for connection. So if you've ever done eBay, you know what a bid is, or an auction, you know what a bid is. I'm going to make an offering of connection to you. And that can look like several different things. It can be a comment, it can be a sigh, it could be a story, it could be a joke, it could be a, hey, you look pretty today. It could be a sticky note that says, I love you. It could be a slap on the butt when you're in the kitchen. It could be anything, which you have to do when you're a guy. That's in the guy code. It's just anything that is a bid for connection. You know, hey, look at that bird out the window, or, you know, whatever. It's just anything simple, small, that we can connect over, right? Or, you know, a compliment, a text, a gift you send in, or something
kind of an
like
inside joke. Or
inside joke, any of that.
Yeah.
And so in that moment, when your spouse does that, offers, and it may not even be an intentional bid for connection, right? A hug, whatever. It could just be done. In that moment, you either have a choice to turn towards or turn away. We covered this a couple weeks ago in the podcast. You either have a choice to turn towards your spouse then, or turn away from your spouse then. And if you'll turn towards your spouse, then you're beginning in those times. Then now you're beginning to connect. And it's simple, it's small, it's even unnoticeable, but it's the thing that healthy couples do.
Yeah, and most people don't turn away. Like when there's this bid for connection, most couples don't intentionally turn away from that. They do it passively. It's kind of that just kind of shrug it off and don't really pay attention. And that can be just as wounding.
They've gotten so used to overlooking their spouse and overlooking each other, they don't even see the comments or the bids coming in.
Like, okay, so what are some examples of that? Because if we've already gotten to the point where you're just not paying attention to those, what are a few examples of, like, maybe a bid for connection that someone might overlook?
Well, if you come in from a long day and you're just right off the bat venting, right? You're not. It's not a sit down over dinner, face to face, intimate moment. You're just venting about something at work, right? Or something with the kids. I could have the opportunity to just go on and ignore it. Yeah. You know, or I could look at you and be like, I can engage with it and be like, oh gosh, that sounds awful. Really?
Yeah.
She did that, you know, and just simply turn towards you and engage with you in that I'm not fixing it. I'm not trying to, you know, I'm just listening. I'm just engaging with you in that, right? Tell me more. What happened then?
Or if you've got an idea for something and you want to tell me an idea for something, I can either be like, Well,
last night. Yeah. Was it last night? Last night we're laying in bed, and I've had this idea rolling around in my head for the past few days about a book idea. And so anyway, we're laying in bed, and I kind of wrestled. Should I even throw this out now, or just kind of process it some more? Because I come out with 100 ideas. I really do. That's my personality. Yeah. I'm not telling you anything you don't know. I'm telling this to the listeners. For the past 30 years since Bonnie's known me, and far probably before that, my parents. But I can, man, this would be cool, or what if, that kind of thing. I need to live in that world to where I can throw out 100 ideas and you not get fearful. Yeah. You know? And
don't take it personally when you throw one out at bedtime and I'm almost asleep.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. But anyway, but this was a little different. It's been kind of rolling on my head for a little while. And so I wrestled with, should I? And I threw it out there, and you engaged with it. You know, you didn't help me plan it. You didn't help me think.
But I wanted to hear more about it.
Yeah, you wanted to hear more about it, and so that meant a lot. That's kind of an example of turning towards. Or, you know, if your couple says something nice, a simple thank you. Thank you. It's a ton. You know, dress, you know, if they'd like your shirt, I dress for you. You know, that's that kind of thing.
Yeah. So why does this build emotional safety in a relationship?
Well, think about that word safety. Right. Safety is an understanding that I'm not going to be harmed here. And so when we feel safe in an area, right, people in the country a lot of times don't lock their doors. Why? Because they feel safe. They know all their neighbors and everybody within a 5 square mile radius of them. Or if you feel safe, you don't shut down. You don't lock up. And so why do you shut down and lock up? Well, because someone ignores you, or someone doesn't respond, they lean out, or they respond negatively, and all of that. So when you respond positively to your spouse, or you lean into your spouse when these bids of connection are made, or you turn towards your spouse, then what you're doing is you're saying to them, I care. I see you.
You're safe with me if you want to tell me that
I notice you. Yeah, I haven't told anybody that book idea, you know. And so I care about you. I care about what goes through your mind, even if it's a little crazy sometimes. and I see you. And then what that does to me is say, wow, okay, I can open up a little more. You know, I can stay open. When you feel safe, you stay open. When you don't feel safe, you shut down. You lock down. You lock the doors. You know, that kind of thing. And
when someone's making that bid towards you, if you can recognize that, what's really happening there is like they're being vulnerable in that moment to share themselves with you, or a part of themselves, or even to take the risk. Maybe if you've not been in the safest place lately, if you've not been in a connected place, if that bid for connection comes and you turn toward it, it allows them to say, okay, maybe I can take another step. Maybe I'm safe enough here to risk being vulnerable and put myself out there, and you're not going to reject me.
Well, and there was a season of our marriage early on when I'd come out with 100 ideas, and you weren't used to me yet, right? And so every idea that you heard, there's a dollar bill sign with it, right?
And we had no dollar bills.
And we had no dollar bills at the time, and so you would immediately either shut down the idea or say something negative to it, or because
I was terrified.
99 out of 100 ideas weren't ever going to happen,
but I didn't know that,
and I never really expected them to. But you didn't know that. And so that made me feel unsafe, like, well, I really need to think twice before I share something, right?
Mhm.
Which
Yeah.
isn't what you wanted,
Right.
wasn't your intention.
Yep. Well,
So,
yep.
all right, so number one,
mm-hmm.
turn towards your spouse, don't turn away. You can start that today. That's very
Yeah.
simple. Doesn't cost any money.
No.
Great idea.
Okay. The second thing. What's the second one?
Um, again, overly simple and almost cheesy. Express appreciation for your spouse every day, at least once, right?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
even said this to the kids today. We were getting on to them because they were teenage fighting, and But
I had not read this podcast script yet.
you hadn't. But habit number 2 is just that. It's simple. Express one daily appreciation to your spouse, and I'm going to tell you, it's for them, but it's really for you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's both. There's a lot of benefit, both ways.
It's kind of that idea of positive self-talk.
Yeah.
It's like talking truth to yourself, know, and it's like if you if you say truth long enough, you begin to align with it. If you get in God's word long enough, the truth will change you. And it's the same way. If you can begin to say things that are positive, that are true, long enough, you begin to remember that that's true, and you begin to respond to that.
Yeah, we see what we want to see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So if we want to see negative, there'll be plenty there to see.
Sure.
I'm sure, right? But our brain is a lot of times wired with a negativity bias. So, if we want to see through those lenses at our spouse, we can. But that's why showing appreciation every day rewires our brain more towards a positive, mindset. So I tell, excuse me, people that come in that are dealing with anxiety or fear, something like that, or depression, not chemical depression, but just situational depression, I'll tell them, start a thankful list, a thankful journal. Put a piece of paper on your window or on your dashboard of your car, somewhere where you're going to see it, and add one thing to that every day, a thankful list. And it sounds so silly, so stupid. Really, Peyton, you tell me this? And so, but the amazing thing is when they come back a week or two later, it's amazing how that helps.
Yeah.
Because we'll see what we want to see. If we want to see negative, if we want to see bad, sure, it's there, right? But if we want to see positive, man, that's there too.
Well, and that's a great exercise to do with people, for them to see positive things happen in their life. But that's a great exercise to do towards your spouse. Like if you're struggling with the negative feelings towards your spouse, it's a great idea to make a list of the things that you are thankful for, that you see in them, that you do appreciate, and then take that step to tell them one of those a day.
Yeah.
Make that list, but don't just keep it to yourself. Intentionally express that, or every day try to think of one new positive thing that you appreciate about them, because there's got to be something.
Yeah. And it must be specific. Don't be like, well, thanks for everything you do.
No, because then that feels like it's just you're forcing yourself to do that, or like you're manipulating a situation. But if it's specific, it's saying, oh, you see me. Okay, and you do appreciate that. It's not just like, oh, I appreciate you.
Yeah, man, I love this meal. This is so good,
Yeah.
Or thank you for doing that. That just so helped, that kind of thing. And these are things that you can do today.
Yeah.
I mean, this is simple, right? Unless you just want to stay negative. And some people do.
Oh, yeah.
Some people love being the negative Nancy.
And they enjoy the conflict. And that sounds stupid, but there really is true. Some people, and it's a good idea to start asking yourself the question, am I one of those people that just likes to be mad or likes to be negative? Because
loves conflict.
Do you? I mean, oh, no, I don't. Well, think it through. I mean, because you might be, but I don't know. Just what are some simple things that we can just like start doing immediately?
Well, guys, I'm going to tell you, there's not a woman on this planet that doesn't want to be told that she looks nice.
That's true.
Well,
guys want to hear it too.
Yeah.
We take that for granted sometimes, and I think guys also want to hear that you appreciate what's being done.
Well, most, the Scripture tells the wife to respect the husband. Husbands, love your wives. Wives, respect your husbands. And most of the time, respect is going to come through words of affirmation for a man. and it's verbalized that way.
Mm-hmm.
And so most men, their love language is physical touch, words of affirmation, somewhere around there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Acts of service. Sometimes some guys, if you have a truck, you're probably an acts of service guy.
Yeah,
because people want you to move stuff all the time. But a lot of men, majority of men, are words of affirmation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, ladies, tell your man how proud of you are,
Mm-hmm.
how you are of them, or man, you looked really strong when you moved the table the other day.
Or, well, and for instance, I was thinking this morning, so here it is freezing, by the way. This is a month.
I think it is everywhere.
Everywhere. It's very, very cold. And our donkeys have to have the water we have to carry down to them and make it hot enough to keep it from freezing. We got a heater over the top of it, all the things. But
Either that or we're going to be breaking nice up every morning.
Yes, and so we're doing that some too.
Mm-hmm.
But the donkeys are kind of my babies, my pets, and so I take it on myself to make sure that's done most of the time. But you did that for me today, and I was thinking, I really appreciate you've really almost insisted that you do it. I kind of like doing it a lot because it lets me connect with the animals and all that stuff. And I do, but when it's in the wind chill's like 3 degrees, you've stepped up and said, no, I'm going to do this. And that made me feel protected, protected from the weather and just the harshness of the elements right now. And I appreciated that. And so I was thinking that day, I need to tell you how much that made me feel protected. And something like men want to know that they are protecting and providing and doing those things. And so when we tell them that, how did that make you feel?
Made me feel great. And I love your ass. Your donkeys.
Oh, my gosh. I have 3 of them. That's kind of a weird thing to say. Anyway.
No, so thank you. But I think examples of that are who was it? Was it True Kathy that said it? Or someone kind of famous said it. The only people that don't need encouragement are the people that aren't breathing.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, and it's so true. So but what it does in your relationship is it softens defensiveness,
mm-hmm.
and it increases warmth.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and so so the first one is turn towards your spouse, don't turn away,
mm-hmm.
and then express appreciation to them daily. And then here's the third one.
Speak your spouse's love language. Now, we've hit this in previous podcasts. I think this is just something that's become a cultural
if you
thing.
don't know what a love language is,
you've been living under a rock for the last 30 years. But it's the idea that everybody speaks and feels loved in a specific way. And there are 5 of them that he hits in his book.
There's words of affirmation, there's physical touch, quality time, gifts, and
acts of service. Yep. And we all feel loved and try to love people in the way that we feel loved, and we all feel loved in one of those ways. And
there's some that are universal to people during I've just kind of noticed patterns.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're a mom and you've got little kids,
acts of service.
A mom with multiple kids, acts of service
mm-hmm.
all day long, because you've got people pulling at you all day long, and you just need help, right?
Mm-hmm.
So husband, jump in there, get stuff done, help her carry the load right there. And you're going to be speaking her love language. Like I said, most men, physical touch is somewhere in there, and then words of affirmation is somewhere in there. So those are kind of easy spots. And like I said, if a guy drives a truck, he's probably got acts of service in there.
Mm-hmm.
Lean into. And if you're not familiar with that concept, or you don't know what it is, maybe you're like, I don't know what my spouse is, I don't know what mine is, then you can go to the 5lovelanguages.com, and that's the number 5, not the word. 5lovelanguages.com. Take assessment, take 15 minutes, it's free. Have your spouse take it. That'd be fun. Do over dinner.
Yeah.
And then just talk about, see what your love language is. It's so simple.
Yeah.
It's very simple of a concept. Too simple not to use.
You can be trying to love the person that you're married to, but they're not feeling it because you're loving in a different way. And
it's like if I came at you with a ton of gifts, you'd be like, why are you spending all our money? What are you doing?
Because I'm 0 on gifts.
You're not. But you enjoy a meaningful, like your birthday.
Yeah.
You know what I got Bonnie for her birthday? I got her a cast iron skillet.
because I really needed a
You're
new one.
very practical. You're very simple,
Yep.
and I think you loved it.
I did. I do
And
love it.
so, but if I had come in with, some jewelry, you would have been like,
Okay,
you
thank
even
you.
know me?
So, oh, that was nice.
Yeah.
Yep. So, okay. So, why do these habits? We've talked about several habits here. Why do they work?
Well, one, I think one of the biggest thing is you're just noticing each other,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in its simplest form, that's connection.
Yeah.
Right? Connection is, you think about an electrical connection. When your lights blink, there's two wires that's not keeping touch,
Uh-huh.
right? And the current can't go through it.
It's
So when you turn towards your spouse, when you appreciate your spouse, when you love them in a way they feel loved the best, you're touching your wires together, right? You're making a connection.
Mm-hmm.
And so it lowers emotional threat. It increases safety
Mm-hmm.
with each other because I know this person's got my back. I know this person notices me. I know this person sees me. They care. I have a voice with them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm important, right?
And I think it changes the emotional temperature in the relationship too.
Yeah, it absolutely does.
it
Takes
can-
it from a negative,
Mm-hmm. Negative bias.
to a positive one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um,
And these are just small. These are small habits, but these are the small habits, kind of like brushing your teeth and not brushing your teeth. It's a habit that takes, about 5 minutes a day or less,
mm-hmm.
and in total. But yet, you could lose all your teeth one day if you don't do it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
I mean, it's such a small, little, tiny habit that makes massive changes.
And you have to be intentional, and then you have to watch out for the fact that your life is going to be busy.
Yeah.
And it's going to try to hijack these habits.
That's right. And that's one of the biggest reasons we disconnect is because we just allow the busyness of life to take over and to come in and to steal. And so within the busyness of life, you're not going to, they frown upon it if you get rid of your kids and all that. So you can't do that. And
gotta go
they're
to
not
work.
going to sit at home all the time. Yeah, you got to go to work. So you have to live life. So therefore, you're going to have to protect these habits. And all three of these habits are really simple. Simple enough to protect even in the busiest life.
Mm-hmm. So if you're listening to this and thinking, this feels doable, that's on purpose. Emotional connection doesn't come from trying harder. It comes from practicing differently.
Yeah. And so we just want to remind you that if you're disconnected right now from your spouse, it really doesn't mean that something is broken. It really just means that maybe your habits and attention and intentionality have drifted.
And that means they can drift back, but you've got to be intentional about it. And I want to say this can only be produced through the power of the Holy Spirit in you
right.
to help draw your attention to this and intentionally pull you towards each other, because you're never going to do that on purpose.
Self-control is a fruit of the Spirit.
That's right.
It's not a fruit of us.
That's right.
And so he can, all these things are self-control
Yes.
issues. And so, but they really do work, these habits. But there's one thing that makes them really hard to sustain. And it's like we mentioned, it's just when you're really busy and crazy.
Life gets full, schedules get packed, energy gets low. It's
You're
like,
always tired.
do we really want to go out, or we just want to eat in tonight?
Yeah. So if you're just thinking, man, this is great, but I'm already overwhelmed, then we want to help you with that.
You're going to want to check out episode 126, Staying Connected During Busy Seasons, where we talk about how to guard your connection when life is heavy, and we put a link to it in the show notes.
That's right. Because these habits only work if you build a life that makes space for them.
Well, thanks for being with us here today.
That's right. So you can like and subscribe our YouTube channel at The Marriage Adventure, and Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, and we will see you next time.
We are all